are considerably, more attractive, right, than
Love it. Oh,
Tinder.
to the utmost. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's where I wanted to get to, some real fine points on, all right, a person being able to consider themselves, you understand me, of a high value caliber. Now, what do you say? So, like, men don't really grade women by their money, and I think that's where a lot of women get it confused to that point where women who have money almost try to be intimidating because they think people are. But for men, really don't care about a woman's money. Not if a man has it himself, but he's just not looking for that unless a man is a homosexual. That's different. You understand me?
Very
So
much.
I really want to get to a foundational understanding, right, for men and women to grade themselves. All
Absolutely.
right.
And I really think men and women should journal. Really, we're human at the end of the day. We're all human. Yeah, you might say, women follow this and men follow that, but we're all human. And I really feel like
It
service
turned out
to
good.
one another, service
Oh.
to each other, service really plays a part in your character. You service us through these lives. It's a part of your character.
Oh.
It
All right.
gives
So
you
let me
value.
hold on. Let me thank you, good sister. First of all, I
Sorry, I'm
appreciate
Yeah,
you for
no
bringing that
problem,
energy.
people.
So I got the sister
So
and the
I'm
young
a
brother
licensed
down there.
educator.
You a
Just so
licensed educator, so
I'm a
good
licensed
sister.
educator. I've taught in
Before I bring
DC.
you up, I got the young brother, man. The young brother said something in the comments. He said, "Stop teaching NFTs." What's your perspective, young brother? You hear me?
Assalamu alaikum, first
You
of
talking
all.
to me or him?
Alaikum
Yes.
salam.
I wanted to hear your perspective on this first. I
Yeah.
wanted you to educate me first, so that's why I came on here.
How you want me to educate you if you told me to stop teaching it?
Right. Good point.
I
Sister,
just
what do you
want to,
think? What do you think of
don't
this
worry about it,
capitalistic
mother.
approach to NFTs and preaching?
All right, I just wanted to see if you was a troll or not.
Right.
Dog. All right, so anyway, good sister.
Yes.
Listen, y'all, I choose violence the whole year, so
I'm
just don't
I'm
complain
so
with me.
happy about your
But
NFT. I believe that
thank you,
you
good
are.
sister. Appreciate it.
I'm sorry. I apologize for talking over you.
No, go ahead. So I wanted to hear your perspective on what you believe a high value woman is.
Okay. Well, I can speak from everything you said because we come from man, right? And so when y'all created us, you know what you wanted. Facts, facts. First of all, and you said everything correctly. A high value woman should be a teacher first because her job is to her children and to her husband, right?
Yeah.
Initially, right? That was her first role. So should always go back to her first role. And she came to man to nurture him. So her job is for man, first and foremost. A high value woman knows that her job is for her man. And whatever
Mm-hmm.
that man needs from her, she's going to be able to provide it seamlessly, completely, fully. Okay? That's a high value woman. A man will never have to worry about his woman. And that piece that a high value woman brings is way more than money. It's way worth more than money. It's worth more than time because peace gives you
So
time.
can you give me, not to cut you off, can you give me a characteristic?
Yes, she's kind. She's going to be happy. She's going to be joyful. And because she has her own mind, because a woman came here to be separate from man, but also to be for man. So she's going to be able to do so many things that are going to give her joy, peace,
I mean, I
happiness.
get what you. I know the
Yes.
comments keep saying we came from men. I get what you're trying to say, but I understand why the confused with that idea because I definitely came from a woman, but I
Right.
understand what you're saying.
Right. But there's
Well, we
femininity
came
in
from men
that.
and women coming
Yes.
together. You understand? Because at the end of the day, I do be hearing a lot of people talk about women used to be able to have babies without men, but I don't know nobody that can do
That's
that.
not true.
So
No, it's not
it's men
true.
and women. But I don't want to get into that science conversation right now.
Okay,
I
please
really
let's not
just
do that. That would be very
wanted to
scary.
talk about the initial conversation because that's a whole nother subject of hella different things. because we always try to find what separates us. I want to have commonality.
That's, yeah.
Um, so the reason I'm trying to get to this point, because oftentimes when we know what we want from the opposite sex, but we don't have standards for ourselves that we hold up for ourselves. You understand me? And this is why we don't have a lot of accountability, and why it's hard for us to build families nowadays. We know what we dislike in the opposite sex more than what we know what we like, which is why we have the ability to dog and talk about toxicity, but we can't talk about what's healthy, right? So I want us to start remedying, and I think the good sister said it, like writing this down on what we actually believe are good traits within ourselves that will qualify us. Because some people don't realize that they unqualified for the person that they're going after, right? And that they shouldn't, because you haven't to meet any qualities, you understand me, to where you should even be disrupting this person that you consider to be of value. Sometimes you just got to observe from a distance. You understand me? It's like a brother that knows that he doesn't have anything going on, right? Why are you trying to mess with this sis that do got a lot going on?
Right.
You don't have nothing to give her. You don't have nothing to provide for. You don't have a vision. None of those things. So both those things fall
It will be quite
on each other.
It's deceptive if a man is actually very deceptive for a man to come into a woman's life, like you said, without having the proper qualities. Just by
it's deceptive on both ends, is what I said. It's deceptive on the woman's end as well. So because I think society does a very good job nowadays at telling men what they should and shouldn't do, and putting that out there, but women never have a list of items that they should or shouldn't do.
Right.
So I think that anytime you get a conversation that's lopsided, it's always going to leave somebody doing something wrong because they feel like they're better than the other. So there's narcissism that exists in the spectrum of men and women. There's ego that exists in the spectrum of men and women. But usually in society, because we live in a patriarchal society, we only deal with, the masculine aspect of it. We don't deal with the feminine aspect. So without dealing with it, men don't know how to deal with what's feminine in them, and women don't know how to deal with conquering and mastering their own femininity. So I think that that's a conversation that needs to be continuously had. But I appreciate you coming on and sharing perspective with us, though, good sister.
Thank you. You're bringing a lot of wisdom here, and I appreciate you bringing that conversation here as well. You're exactly right.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Now I'm really, trying to get to a understanding myself of how we see ourselves, and sort of just asking real questions. You understand me? It's not even 100% my perspective, because I think that a lot of these topics, we hate people for sound bites, and we don't even get to a point where we can break down a full dialogue and stretch out something in long form rather. And I learned that through, if you take a clickbait of a conversation I'm having with somebody, you take one piece out, man, the people is running through the comments with all kind of hate, but they didn't watch the full context and what was shared. And then I also think that there's certain things that just not asked in society because it makes one or the other comfortable, or doesn't go along with the narrative. You understand me? But I think the narrative is mostly bullshit. And if the narrative is not creating more success and more progress, then the narrative is toxic in the first place, meaning that it's poison, that it's not good for it. You understand me? And I think that that's something that we need to change. Men need to be able to look in the mirror, and women need to be able to look in the mirror, right? I think that society has done a terrible job at helping women curate and become more self-aware in a lot of perspectives. I think that society is doing a better job at helping women be self-aware when it comes to sexual liberation and careers and ambitions, in certain positions in society. But I think from a mental health range and a becoming more of a comprehensively or spiritual and feminine woman, I don't think society does any curation of that whatsoever, almost, besides those who are of that spiritual community. You understand me? And those who do have sister circles that allow you all to have those conversations. But it's like with every community that forms and starts to form and gain power, most of the things happen internal. right? And so it's like the LGBT community don't all agree with each other, but their disagreements are internal. So they don't let the rest of the world see them break ranks on what's toxic inside of their internal conflicts. On the outside, there's a brand of it, oh, pride and happiness and freedom and love, and everybody's love is love. But on internal, they conflicts, they don't agree with each other on a lot of different things. It's the same thing with the Asian community, the Jewish community. You understand me? The white community now be showing conflict. Of course, they go to civil war with each other these days. But they also can agree on things, you understand me, about white power and race and having power and things of that nature. And then you got the women community who have now formed based on the basis of their gender, right? And so a lot of the internal things are not being had. And I think it can become destructive in some capacities rather than constructive. You understand me? When we don't deal with the things as we making change. So we got to deal with our own shit as we shovel somebody else's in their face. Because at the end of the day, the basis, if it's not around black family, I don't care about the individual progress. I don't care about the individual moves. Because then we just training ourselves to be like white men in society. Well, I get successful, I get my career, I get my money, I have my ambitions, then I'm good. And it starts to become like, it's not that you're trying to get rid of the structures of capitalism or patriarchal society, it's that you want a higher position in it, right? And then that destroys the functionality, right, of us being attracted to ourselves, meaning that men and women being, and black men and women being attracted to each other. So what makes a black woman go seek outside her race to go find somebody else is that she lost the look for qualities, right? And because of the trauma in between that she's had with the relationships in between, the propaganda and all those things, she no longer believes those qualities exist inside her race. She can no longer see it. Same thing what a black man does. He starts to seek qualities. He say, well, the white woman is more submissive, right? Less questioning to him and things of that nature. And he stops associating those qualities with his woman. And then he becomes weakened because he doesn't want to go through the process of disciplining, strengthening himself, right? That allows him to grow into becoming a greater and better man, which is what a black woman does. A black woman goes sharpen you. She gonna make sure you are who you say you are. And she not gonna allow you to come in with the bullshit. And other races of women might not be able to challenge you in that same capacity because they don't share the same perspective, right, of growing up in reality, and they don't share the same perspective of your own potential. They don't have it in their DNA to understand that. So it's an interesting conversation because if we challenge men to grow back into their masculinity, we have to challenge women to grow back into their feminine nature, right? One without the other is lopsided. But today's society is challenging women to become more masculine, right? And challenging men to be more feminine. You understand me? And it destroys the attraction to each other. You understand me? And then we replace the concepts of family with career. And so when we look at the fact that our population size decreases in America every year, why is it that? We had high fecundity. You understand? Our sperms are working, but we have a high amount of contraceptive and birth control and abortion and a multitude of other different things that we do in our culture to kill life because we're not really trying to reproduce ourselves. And you have to think about where that mentality comes from. When a culture no longer wants to reproduce itself, it's literally saying that that culture doesn't have. When you love yourself, you want to reproduce it. When you love something so much, you need to have more of it, abundance. You appreciate. And that appreciation is the growth in value. But we stop loving ourselves, so nah, you don't want to have a baby. Nah, you don't want to have a family. Nah, you don't want to produce more men or more women like you, or more black men, or don't want to produce more black women. You understand me? Somebody said, name one thing that has made black men feminine. They say skinny jeans. No, it's not just about that. It's the characteristics that have been lost within the black man. It's the traits that have been lost, his willfulness, his ambition, his willingness to be a protector and a provider and a producer, right? And to be productive and to be a leader. Those are the qualities. You're talking about aesthetics and really aesthetics and fashion. Those things flip flop as far as what's acceptable and what's masculine and what's not. Because in Africa, yes, you can wear a long guard, and it doesn't have any pants like in European, and that's considered to be masculine over there, but feminine over here. So context matters. So each generation gets the context, what is masculine and what is feminine, based on what's associated with the characteristics, right, and of the style that's being presented, right? So that's different. If we grew up and only the gangsters was wearing skinny jeans, we would associate that with being masculine, right? But I mean, you know, they did bell bottoms and all kind of stuff in the 70s, and them brothers were still masculine. So it's not so much about the clothing that's being worn, but the characteristics that have been lost. And this is where people start to look at things from a shallow standpoint, right? And so I'm gonna handle this too. They said, I'm Islam. A man is not supposed to wear gold. You said I'm Islam. I don't know about that, because I definitely know that the women ain't supposed to have their legs out too. But at the end of the day, I told y'all before, man, you know, peace of Prophet Muhammad, you understand me? But at the end of the day, I don't follow all the rituals in that capacity. You understand me? Gold, I drink gold. I wear gold. I'm going to get those particles in my skin and within my body. You understand me? So, cut the BS. But anyway, we're going to get back to it. We have to understand these things from deeper bases and deeper levels. You understand me? So women are being forced to be more masculine. Men are being forced to be more feminine. You understand me? And both of these things are associated with them fitting more into society and the narrative that goes, especially if you know this future melanin month, so we got to talk about the vision of society. If you will have a vision for society, it has to have a healthy, divine, masculine presentation of men that conduct themselves as such. You understand me? And it's the same thing with women. So it's like when I started studying this population control thing, I understood that a lot of things that's implemented in our society are social programmings. Listen, man, if you're going to be hypocritical and point something out, I'm going to point it back at you. I choose violence, so don't play with me. You understand me? Point out your own insecurities and issues and problems that consist within your day and your life. Do not try to learn something and point it out to somebody else to have them see themselves if you never stop to see yourself. So you can't be doing something hypocritical in your own profile picture and then try to ask me about wearing gold. And being a Muslim means one who submits his or her will to do the will of God, being good, following that golden rule, being righteous, treating your brother and sister how you want to be treated. You understand me? So if you don't want me to check you, then don't try to come check me. So at the end of the day, that's checkmate. So we get to that point where it's like, you know, yeah, Kissinger had a report in 1974 talking about that he was going to use homosexuality as a method for sterilization. This is a fact. I didn't create it. He created that. So you're talking about higher ups in the government having these positions. You're talking about the fact that by 2025, there will be more deaths than births in the white community. But what about ours? Why do we choose to follow death? Why do we choose to follow death? Right? And I think that a lot of women and a lot of men, you understand me? Come on, don't come. I'm gonna block you too if you ask unintelligent questions without research. Somebody say no shade. Do Muslims believe in stoning females? Go do your research, and please leave the ignorance out the chat. Let's just leave the ignorance out the chat. Let's just do that. You know what I'm talking about? Otherwise, I'm gonna just hit you with the song that the young brother put out there Toby, and Gwingwe about just unfollowing me if that's the case, right? But I'm not asking, and people say that there's no such thing as a dumb question. I think that was true up until the point where we got the internet and we got Google. So I think that there are dumb actors who ask questions when they could do research. And when we know things go against our logic, why would we continue to progress in that thought pattern? And we know that the logic is you never seen a black Muslim ever stone a black woman. You never seen that happen. You never seen that happen in America, nowhere. How many, Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. So how many cases do you see that in the world? So I really want us to get smarter, because you may not even have had bad intentions, but because of your frequency, you haven't learned to grow out of the immaturity, right? Of not doing research and investigating and being a real truth seeker, so that when you present things to people, you thought 20 times before you type or before you speak. So I'm not going to block them. I'm going to let them carry themselves out unless they get disrespectful. But that goes to the point, though, man. We have a society where we don't really think about things beyond the surface level. So it's like, I want to see black men grow into a greater level of development, and I know what I have to do to help and assist in that. I have to go back into what I used to do, and I have to do more training. You understand me? We go through the operation of military training, because a lot of men know how to be warriors, but they don't know how to be soldiers, and we need more soldiers today than anything. We need more soldiers. See, the difference between a warrior and a soldier, right, in my contemplation of thought, and this is not the full context of what a warrior is, but for the purpose of compare and contrast. See, a warrior is more sort of the one with the long hair, grows it out. And he connects himself to the surroundings and the environment. And intuitive and instinctual. And the warrior can be more individual on his journey or his jihad or his war, right? The warrior has his own way. So the warrior is not particularly taking orders from anybody. The soldier is different. The soldier empties himself. It's not about the soldier. The soldier takes orders. The soldier understands that the internal struggle he has is submission, but he learns to submit himself in order for them to be able to win the war. The soldier listens to the best plan, listens to hierarchy, listens to authority, listens to the general. When there's somebody that can lead you better than you can lead yourself, that's the general, so you listen to the general. But men no longer want to play the soldier role. I was always taught submission is power. And I used to think about the submission word, like, damn, man, submission is weak. Like, I'm listening to somebody else. Why am I just listening to myself? But then I realized, no, submission is power, right? Because it takes more power to submit to somebody else than it does to rebel. And so when you have a true cause that you're willing to kill, die, you understand me, and fight for, then you will submit in order for the cause, which is bigger than you, to be won. Because the individual always think they know better. That's what the young man's mind is, the rebel. So when you go to the army, they make you shave. You got to get a buzz cut. It's uniformity. Everybody look the same. So it destroys the individuality. So that you understand that, look, we are the same here. When you get an order, you follow whether you like it or not. Because you might not be able to see the bigger picture. And so when we learn how to be soldiers and play our roles, and then sometimes a soldier may have to play a role, but he may be fitted to be a general one day, but just not in that position, not at that time. You understand me? And black men these days, especially younger black men, y'all just want to be warriors. Y'all just want to do your own thing. Don't want to listen to nobody. You understand me? Don't want to take no advice at all. Don't want to work for nobody. Don't want to follow nobody. Even if they lead you in the right direction, you feel like you need to get it all from yourself. That you got your own warrior's way. And ain't had no battles, but your own internal ones, but ain't truly battled with the world. See, the general is usually going to be that smart one that can devise a plan, that got some experience. The general ain't the same soldier that's in the streets. The general will be putting it on the paper. He draws it up and then delivers it to the soldiers, and the soldier got to follow out the blueprint. But if you can't get the soldiers to just follow orders and to empty themselves to take in what's necessary, then it's gonna be so much internal conflict. Y'all be fighting amongst yourselves while the enemy is taking over the camp. The enemy winning the war, and that's how it is in our culture. Everybody is warriors against each other. Black men take all their warrior spirit and we hunt each other, we kill each other, we down each other, we fight each other. And so in the 80s and 90s, there were generals. But America knew that if they took out the generals, then we'd leave a culture of warriors, all these tribesmen just fighting and killing each other. You understand me? So we have to get back to a place where we become soldiers, because we at war right now. And so imagine this. I tell the young soldiers, I say, young soldier, I need you to do this, that, and the third. This is what's going to get your life together. And the soldier said, well, I ain't going to lie. I don't feel like, whoa, this ain't got nothing to do with your feelings, young man. It ain't got nothing to do with your feelings, young guy. I said, do it, you do it. Take your feelings out of it. Where they going to be like, be empathetic. Talk to him a certain way. What you mean, talk to him a certain way? I said, do it, get it done. Why do I gotta say it a certain way so his feelings? Nah. In the army, they make sure they got nothing to do with your feelings. They wake up yelling to you. Get up, soldier. Sir, yes, sir. Complete submission. Because you know how dangerous that is on the battlefield? You tell a person to do something, that's hella dangerous. We always operated with the one spokesman rule. It could be 10 of us. There should be one spokesman talking at a time. Otherwise, y'all goddamn arguing amongst yourself. We get into it with the police. I tell the homies that back in the day, police pull up on us, man. It was in St. Louis, man. They as crooked as a leaning piece of tower, man. You know talking about? So we knew that. It was like, nah, I'll be like, let me talk. Don't somebody else say something, because then it'd be like, oh, nah, nigga, you done said something. You fucking up the game. I was gonna goddamn get everybody smooth. But your emotions had you, your ego had you feel a certain way. You didn't heighten the situation when I was smoothing it out so we can continue upon our mission. Because it ain't about the way you feel, but everybody being their feelings. And so it's like nowadays you try to talk to people and then, well, I don't feel this certain way. Well, you talk to them a certain way. You didn't say it. You didn't regard their feelings. This is how they think. No, be a goddamn soldier. Listen, take heed, follow the orders, get the results. So if I could literally tell all black men in America and give them command and the order of what they do, bro, I need you to study this, and then I need you to go execute on this. Guess what? Their life would improve times 10. But see, they want to follow themselves, and they're not a good enough general to lead themselves in the right direction because they lack experience. They lack the mental fortitude to get over their own emotions to manage themselves. That's why some people have to go to the army to become disciplined. You become disciplined. You get in the army, you become disciplined. Now you can goddamn listen, take instructions. That's the power. You know what I'm talking about? So if men don't know how to submit to each other, don't know how to submit to God, don't know how to submit to each other, and then when you get in a household, you want a woman to submit to you. How? You don't submit to a higher authority. So how all of a sudden you want that chain of command in your household? I'm just saying, you got to think about that for a second. You don't submit to nothing, but you want your woman to submit to you. You already creating a hypocritical circumstance. So she can't follow that because she just following you at this point. Well, you don't submit, I won't submit. You want to know what's a high value man? A man that submits to God. A man that submits to the inner God within himself. A man that submits to right over wrong, to duty. You want to know if a man loves himself, he got to submit to some sort of duty. Then he has a vision that he submits to. Oh, baby, I submitted to God's vision. This is what I got to do. This is my purpose. And then as long as you following that, she can submit to you because she's helping you along with your submission to God. So y'all both following along the right path. But the moment that you can't submit to nobody, Well, shit, nigga, fuck, I'm gonna listen to you, nigga. You a renegade, I'm a renegade. We both warriors in this game. You understand me? Submission is power. It takes more power. You know how much you have to get over to submit and follow an order? It's easy to be like, man, fuck these niggas. I don't listen to nobody, man. Do my own thing. You be all in your feelings thinking you gangsters, thinking you right. When I used to drill, for 20 years, I think I've drilled. We went to Muslim school, private school, but we had to drill in the hot summertime. We didn't have no summers off. Sometimes the drill instructor will be our age or a little older. And I hated having to submit. Like, man, why the hell he get the drillers? Now he said, left feet, right feet, march time, march. How you feel? I got to say, fine, sir. And this brother is no older than me. But what it learned, it taught me respect for black men. See, you never been in a position where you truly got to respect the black man. So you don't want to listen to nobody, especially if they look like you. See, I seen it was young men that was my age, some a little older, so I'm listening to them like, yeah. So the training of the FOI, which is the Fruit of Islam, which is the military wing given to the Nation of Islam, that Muslim black men went through, specifically in my upbringing, and today that still consistently carries on, is the ability to be able to submit to each other. So remember that, ladies. If you find a man, ask him what he submits to. He don't submit to God. He don't submit to a vision, a plan, an inner self, some righteous path. You understand me? Then you can't rock with him long term. All right, let's see what we got. I had came on here to talk crypto and NFTs, man, and because I had made this goddamn